back with Calvin tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Our guest this evening is a communication professor here at Calvin College. In addition to teaching classes, he also runs one of the largest and most authoritative websites on Nazi propaganda. He speaks fluent German and is a graduate of Calvin College. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Randall Bytwerk. Professor, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
How are you doing?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Good. We're glad to hear that. I understand you brought a few props today.
Well, it's Halloween. I thought a bag of tricks would be in
Sure,
order.
yeah, a bag of tricks. What do we got here?
Well, we've got Cicero the Frog.
Okay. And what is the story behind Cicero?
Well, Cicero is my retirement plan. For some reason, students don't always show up in time for my class.
Okay.
So when the class starts at, say, 9 a.m., I just turn Cicero on, and anyone who walks in late owes me a quarter.
I see. So it's
Yeah.
motion
I
sensitive.
collect a lot of quarters.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
I see.
I figure I may be able to retire 2 or 3 years early.
Cool. Yeah. Very nice. And you've made a lot of money off of that.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I end up spending most of it on donuts for students, but every now and then, yeah.
I see. Well, okay, cool. What else do you have for us?
Well, I've got, Christmas is coming up, so I thought
Okay.
I'd bring along some books that
Couple
people
of
might want
books.
to buy for,
Yeah,
for
yeah, of
Christmas,
course, books.
suitable for anyone they know.
Right. We've got the Paper War, Nazi propaganda. Did you write some of this?
It's got a great chapter by me in it, yeah.
All right, cool. We have here Julius Streicher by yours truly,
Yep.
Randall L. Bytwerk, and Bending Spines, the Propagandas of Nazi Germany and the German Democratic Republic. It's kind of depressing Christmas reading, wouldn't you think?
Well, you got to have some variety. You can't have good cheer all the time.
Sure.
I think it's suitable for, anybody on people's gift lists.
I see.
One
All
of
right.
those certainly will fit.
Well, we'll talk about that later, about your work with
Okay.
Nazi propaganda, but you've got some more props for us, right?
Well, there's,
Ah, yes.
yes. Now, that's
The
a picture.
quintessential
Yes,
looking off into the
I'm looking
distance.
off in Truth in the Distance. Now,
Right.
that's about a 40-year-old picture now. Well, 35.
Wow.
When I used to work in Yosemite National Park in
Okay.
the summers, and I saw Truth in the Distance out there, and that may have inspired me to become a college professor.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. And you're a big hiker, I understand.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I saw your boots when you walked in. You get your Merrill boots and your. So where do you like to hike?
Well, the Sierra Nevada's big range, 200 miles north to south, so I tend to go anywhere I haven't been before.
Okay. And that's the Sierra Nevada is your favorite place.
Absolutely.
Out of the whole world, you'd pick the Sierra Nevada?
I mean, I hate to criticize the Apostle John, but when he talks about heaven with seas of crystal and so forth, he's wrong. It really looks like Tuolumne Meadows in Yosemite National Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
to
Favorite
check
place
it
on the
out.
planet.
Huh. That's awesome. And you have one more. It looks like one more thing in the bag here.
There's the clock.
The clock.
The clock, yes.
I see.
It doesn't work very well. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the story with the clock?
Well, when I worked in Yosemite National Park, we used to have breakfast dinner shifts. We'd work in the morning and have all day free to go climb something.
Okay.
And then we'd have to be back for dinner. Well, I didn't and still don't wear a watch. So I would take my alarm clock
Right.
around just to be sure I got back in time.
Okay.
Well, one day toward the end of the summer, my friend and I were really good. We were 23 and we were
In the
good.
prime.
We were in the prime.
Right,
So we climbed
right.
a mountain that was supposed to be easy. It was supposed to be a walk up, but we got off route. We took the wrong way up and we got to a cliff.
Okay.
Well, I looked up that cliff and said, I can't do that. And my friend who was more cautious than I said, I think I can do that.
Little role reversal there.
Yeah, you got it. So he starts scrambling up with this thing, and I find another way to get up, and I'm sitting at the top waiting for him.
Safely at the top.
I'm safely up
You're-
there. I found
okay.
a safe way up.
Waiting for him.
So he yells and says, I'm stuck.
Never a good thing to hear when you're
Never a
climbing.
good thing to hear. Well, I could kind of get down to where I could just grab one of his arms, but that's it. Nothing for me to hold on to. We didn't have ropes. I couldn't take his weight. And he couldn't move. He was
Right.
spread-eagled and sweating and scared, and he slipped, and I couldn't hold him. His hand slipped right out. He fell about 80 feet, bounced,
Wow.
fortunately, because it was at a sharp angle.
Okay.
If he'd fallen straight down, he would have been dead. But I thought he was dead anyway, because I
Right.
yelled and I couldn't hear a thing.
Wow.
Well, when I got down to him, he was beginning to recover consciousness.
Okay.
And it was clear he wasn't going to walk off.
Right.
I mean, he had clearly broken bones. He was in trouble.
Now it's time for a mountain rescue.
It's time for mountain rescue. Now, fortunately, professors can make a lot of noise.
Yeah, I know this.
Yeah.
I do know this.
Yeah. So about 1,000 feet below us was a beach with some people. And I yelled. They heard me. They didn't know. They couldn't hear what I was saying, but they could hear me. So they called the Rangers. The Rangers came with a megaphone and asked me to signal.
Okay.
So I'm waving my day pack, yes or no. Well, this is in the day pack.
Right.
It falls off and bounces down. And at the time, I got other things to worry about, so I'm not really out to get this thing. Helicopter comes, an incredible rescue.
Right.
The pilot made 3 landings on the side of the face of the mountain. I mean, one skid of the copter on a
So
ledge.
he was hovering.
He was
in
hovering,
One...
rotors going 6 feet from the rock wall. Just
Wow.
an amazing job of piloting. He made 3 landings to get rescue people down first. And then we hauled my friend up to the top of the mountain. Pilot came back and hauled him off and so on. Well, okay. It was 8 months before my friend could walk again. But a year later, we go back.
Well, you can't let the mountain beat you.
We
Of course
can't-
not.
no, can't
No,
let it
young
beat us.
men in their primes cannot be
Absolutely.
beaten.
So we've got ropes this time.
So you're prepared.
We're prepared
Okay.
this time. We find the place. We find the ledge. We find the exact place he'd fallen. And I think I got to find my clock. So I go down 75 feet, and there it is. It had been sitting on
Wow.
the side of Tenaya Peak for exactly 12 months.
Untouched.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, hands swing freely.
Untouched by any human, maybe.
Yes. The back part is open. It doesn't wind anymore. But this sits on my shelf in the office as a reminder not to do stupid things. I mean, every now and then, I've thought of
Right.
something, and in the back of my mind, I've got this little voice saying, "Bytwerk, that's dumb."
And the clock,
I look at the clock, and usually
usually.
I decide not to do it.
Well, this must be one of those exceptions because I noticed that you have the clock with you and you're on the show. And this, I mean, so usually it reminds you not
I
to do
said
dumb
usually.
things.
Every
Okay.
now and then, I make a mistake.
All right. Well, either way, we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Now, to be clear, you are not by any means a neo-Nazi, a Nazi supporter, correct?
Yes, although people sometimes worry. I get some quite interesting emails on the website from people who don't read it very carefully.
Right.
Some of them are rather vehement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can understand that people would be confused. So that's why. And you got into this with this professor and
Yeah.
just discovered that it was fascinating, and you just
Well, part of it is why could a civilized nation,
Yeah.
really the best educated nation in Europe, fall prey to an absolutely dreadful ideology? What could lead sensible people to do the kinds of things the Germans did? And propaganda was part of what persuaded the Germans to do that. And that's
Right.
really part of my interest.
so the power of propaganda. It's like I can understand that. That's very very interesting. So you spent some time. You were actually in Germany when the Berlin Wall came down.
Well,
correct?
a little before and
A
afterwards.
little before and after.
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't.
Yeah. Well, see, part of the problem was what you said before. People were a little worried that I was too interested in the Nazis, so I thought I'd go to the other end of the political spectrum, and I went after the East Germans for a while. So I spent some time in East Germany.
Okay.
Which
Had a few
was,
pen pals, I understand.
well, quite a few, in fact. See, one of the nice things about going to East Germany was there weren't many Americans there. So people recognized my virtues. I've never been so popular as I was in East Germany.
Right.
Right. I mean, my students don't seem to be quite as fascinated as these Germans were. I'd open my mouth, I've got an American accent that you could walk on. Very thick,
Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So people could tell I was an American. They'd invite me over for dinner. We'd talk till 2 a.m. and then say, when can you come back again?
Right.
I mean, I'd finally found a country that appreciated me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go there.
Yeah,
I could
well, they're
take
gone
German
now.
lessons
They're
from you
they're
or something.
gone.
Oh, they're gone.
They're
Oh,
gone,
oh.
yeah. 1989, just disappeared. But then I decided that I wanted to know more East Germans.
Okay.
So I put an ad in an East German magazine, which I didn't think they'd print, because all the pen pals they printed were Russians or
Right.
Indians or something, but they actually printed my address. It was kind of, things were beginning to crumble.
Right.
And I ended up getting 2,300 letters from East Germans who wanted to write to me.
Wow. Total.
Total. They just kept coming, day after day. I got piles
2,300
of
letters from East Germans interested in
Writing to me.
writing to you.
Yeah.
And I understand you actually went to visit a few of these because you went back to East Germany after these letters
Yeah.
had been written to you. Obviously, you couldn't respond to them all.
Well, no, I had an obligation to. I'd asked him to write, it'd be rude, right, not to respond.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't obviously personally respond to 2,300 people, but I did a form letter, which I made it as innocuous as possible because I knew the East German Secret Service read the foreign mail.
Right.
So
Which reminds me, did the East Germans have a file on you?